Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul, and in this Red Gaming Tycoon video, we're going to be discussing the Radeon RX 500 series. And that's right, we actually have some news, we'll get into that in just a second, as well as the GTX 1080 Ti and some changes to the Pascal GPUs. Nvidia are going to be ramping up clock speeds for subsequent GTX 1080s, 1070s and also 1060s, but we'll get into that in just a moment. Now, full disclosure, I did actually record the 1080 stuff and Pascal stuff first, and I was just about to export the video and then stuff on the RX 500 appeared, so I'm kind of recording this in reverse order. So if something doesn't make sense or I kind of contradict myself slightly later on, then you'll understand why. But, you know, all the information of the 1080 Ti is accurate, but I do mention a few things about AMD. Anyway, with that said, let's begin. So, according to the website heist.de, which is obviously a German website, AMD are planning to unveil the RX 500 series in April. Yes, I know that RX Vega is going to be a thing. We'll get into that in just a second. On 4th of April, we're going to see the RX 580 and 570, available for sale as well, by the way. And then a week later, which is April 11th, we're going to see the 560 and 550. Now, all of these cards are most likely a rebrand from what you can see of the RX 400 series. Now, this is really important to know because while it is a rebrand, there are small, subtle differences with the GPUs, primarily a clock speed bump. For example, we'll see the 580 have a moderate bump of 74 MHz, whereas the 570 gets a moderate bump of 38 MHz. Not exactly going to set the world ablaze, but technically will slightly skew results. Now, my personal feeling is that some vendors will obviously push it a lot higher, depending on if they're going to reference designs or not. But obviously, we'll just have to wait and see. The 560 is going to be a rebrand of the 460. But with 1024 stream processors. However, that's been unconfirmed. Some folks are saying, however, that the 560 may be clocked at 1287 MHz, which is quite a significant jump, 87 MHz over the RX 460 we currently have. But according to Heist, there is one model which is likely equipped with Polaris 12. Polaris 12 is the very low-end GPU silicon, which is just as mysterious as Vega 11, really. You don't know that much about it. For those who don't know, Vega 11 is going to be the lower end card of the Vega lineup, which kind of makes things even more confusing. We'll get into that in just a second. Vega is not going to be released in April. I want to stress that. We will not be seeing Vega in April, which appears that Vega is going to be released in May. So basically we're going to get the rebrands in April and Vega a month or so later on. This kind of makes me wonder what the hell Vega 11 is. Vega 11, Vega 10 are not rebrands. They are completely different architectures, which kind of makes me scratch my head. It may be that the 580 series and below are going to be cheaper even than the current 400 series we have now. So in other words, AMD will cut the price. Vega 10, rather the Vega 11, will be the equivalent of the 590, and we'll see Vega 10 the equivalent of like the Furies, but we just don't know. There's just not enough information. Yes, I know that sucks, but unfortunately that just breaks at the moment. The GTX 1080 Ti is not a surprise for it to be arriving at all. We knew it was going to happen, we just didn't, of course, have any idea what the specifications of the GPU was going to be, and we didn't know if it was going to be cut down from the Titan X, and most people thought that that was going to be the case. Nvidia historically have decided, hey, we're going to cull some CUDA cores, we're going to drop the amount of DRAM, bandwidth, whatever, and typically this means that the GPU doesn't perform quite as well as the Titan, but historically the price has been a lot tastier. So many folks were expecting, let's say, the CUDA core number to take a massive dive. We expected perhaps, you know, the low 3000 mark, but that's not the case. We have the same number of CUDA cores, 3594. The base clock, we're not quite sure about, but the boost clock is actually slightly faster. 1.53 for the Titan X compared to 1.58 for the Ti. The memory bandwidth is slightly higher, all of 4 GB per second, and the main difference between them, the only thing that really the Ti is lower with, is the amount of RAM. It has 11 GB of GDDR5X, which is 1 GB smaller than the, of course, Titan X, which is not that big of a deal, really, considering the price point. The price point is $699 US. Yes, that's a lot of money, without a doubt. It's about 60% less, however, than the Titan X, which is $1,200 US. And this price actually is the entry-level price of when the GTX 1080 was first launched. Now, it's got to be said, of course, that this card is an absolute monster. If you have a 1440p display or below, there's a very good chance that you're probably not really going to need this card. This is really for 4K gaming. Memory bandwidth is really required for this, and so is just absolute ridiculous amounts of GPU performance. So, Nvidia have undoubtedly taken advantage of the fact that we still don't have a release date for Vega. I did wax lyrically on that yesterday. I was really disappointed that we didn't get more insight for the product launch, and quite a few people have said that the Capsation event was a bit disappointing. I don't necessarily think it was super disappointing, but I think we did expect a bit more. So I wouldn't say it was disappointing, but I don't also think it was impressive. It was kind of like, you know, a confirmation of what we already knew and a unspectacular reveal of a name. Nvidia have definitely taken advantage of this and have confirmed that the card is going to be available on March the 10th. There's no UK pricing yet. Just wait, this video is going to be updated in 1 hour's time. And we should see review samples start shipping soon. Now, the real beauty of this, however, is it doesn't just affect the 1080 Ti. There are going to be trickle-down effects. Unfortunately, we only have US pricing here, so if you're from, you know, Canada or Germany or, well, from Great Britain, sorry, out of luck. But, of course, retailers will start cutting prices anyway. So that means that Titan X is still going to be retaining its ludicrous price tag. I say ludicrous, it's not really that expensive considering what you're getting, I guess. But the 1080 is going to cut down to $499, whereas the 1070, $379, and the 1060, assuming you get the 6GB RAM version, at $250, $249 to be technical. Even better, Nvidia are taking advantage of faster RAM. So basically, as you probably are aware, as you become, I guess the technical term is better at producing memory, as now we're, you know, very much in the phase of GDDR5X becoming quite mature, faster RAM speeds are starting to become quite commonplace. With that said, we will start seeing at least manufacturers shipping both the 1080 and the 1070 with faster memory modules. This, of course, means that in essence, we're going to see much faster bandwidth across those GPUs. I'm not quite sure how that's going to affect the cards in terms of raw performance, but even the 1070, for example, is going to have 9 Gbps chips, which is really nice. And 11 Gbps GDDR5 models are going to be found in the 1080, but obviously it has that narrower bus. I can't really say too much badness about this. It's actually rather nice, and quite frankly speaking, well, quite honestly, it just crushes the expectations of what I really had for the 1080 Ti. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I didn't think it was going to be like a piece of crap. I just didn't think that Nvidia were going to be so generous in the number of CUDA cores. Now, according to Nvidia, it does overclock to about 2 gigahertz, excuse me, I can't speak somewhere. That's not that impressive, because the 1060 and other cards can certainly overclock rather well. For example, we have the 1070 Gaming X from MSI, and it overclocked like a demon, so it's not that big of a deal. It does, of course, depend on the, you know, silicon lottery and all that stuff. But this GPU, to put into perspective, is 35% faster than the 1080, and the 1080 is no slouch. We are currently taking a look at the 1080, and it's ridiculous. This card is going to be absolutely wonderful, and I'm sure, and without a question, this card is also going to prompt many to go SLI. And I think one of the hot rigs, at least for the next several months, is going to be 2 1080 Tis with a Ryzen 7 1800X or a 1700X, and you've got so much computing power that frankly VR is going to be no issue. 4K is just going to be like silky smooth. Unfortunately, your bank balance is going to be slightly pillaged. One more thing that I kind of want to tackle. If you know where that's from, one more thing. Come on, everyone, comment. You know it. Someone knows that famous quote from a cartoon. That's what I'm going to say. Anyway, NVIDIA Flex Viscosity, and I'm pretty impressed I managed to say that first time. Benchmark has shown double the performance gains with asynchronous compute in DirectX 12. Now, as far as I can understand, this is specifically for Pascal GPUs, so if you have Maxwell or older, sorry. But basically, this seems to enhance the GPU performance of DirectX 12 workloads on asynchronous compute. From what I understand so far, there's no mention on Vulkan or how, you know, this is going to start impacting other games. I would like to start seeing, you know, some real benchmarks of this. And naturally, that's going to require a couple of months. But it's good that NVIDIA are doing this. Like, I'm happy, and hopefully, this will obviously prompt AMD to be quite aggressive. And really, that's kind of where I'm going with this. Like, this video, I'm happy that NVIDIA are being very aggressive this time, because I think if AMD were not looking impressive with Vega, NVIDIA might have been a bit stingier with the specifications at the time. So that's good. So, in essence, what are you going to do with this AMD? Like, okay, maybe AMD were waiting for NVIDIA to kind of show its hand. But we all know that there's possibly going to be a Pascal refresh, although that's not confirmed by any means, there are rumours. And we all know that Volta is eventually going to be a thing. Oh, and if you can hear clicking in the background, it's because Amy is currently playing Horizon Zero Dawn on the PS4 as she's preparing for a First Impressions review. Unfortunately, as regular viewers know, I've recently moved and my internet is literally awful. And for some reason, unbeknownst to me, it is completely gone out. I think it might be the weather. So I'm having a new line installed, coincidentally on my birthday. No, it wasn't planned, it just happened to be random. So content is going to be a bit smoother for us over the next couple of weeks. Good news, everyone, as well, and this is slightly off topic. We have the case, the cooler, and a whole bunch of lighting strips and fans that have arrived, which is good for Ryzen. And I'm currently awaiting the order confirmation for Ryzen because, as regular viewers know, we are actually ordering that out of our own funds, whereas some of the other stuff we've received is review samples. And, of course, we will disclose what is review samples and not. Anyway, I think that's just about it for this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I shall see you soon with any luck. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul, and in this Rig Intercom video we're going to be talking about Ryzen, specifically overclocking as well as a bit more performance related stuff, but also focusing a lot on Intel's actual response to it. So that's quite interesting, and we'll get to that in just a second, but first of all let's talk about Ryzen itself. Now, a lot of you messaged me about this. I'm not joking when I say there were 42 messages waiting for me on Facebook alone. So it's very unfair for me to try and thank one person specifically, so just thank you to all the folks who have messaged me over the past 24 to 48 hours. It means an awful lot to us. Oh, and small aside, I did actually order our Ryzen hardware, and we have been told it will arrive on March the 2nd. Now, for those of you wondering, we have ordered the 1700X as well as the Asus Prime X370 Pro. Yes, I have to confess, just for a second, I was like, crap, can't remember the code, can't remember the name for it. But anyway, that has been ordered, and hopefully that shall arrive. It is not a review sample. We are paying for this, so you can expect an unbiased opinion. And as I said, we'll be testing that out with a whole bunch of stuff. We're kind of trying to figure out the cooler at the moment, but the cooler isn't too big of a deal. Oh, and a side thing number 2, I have some plans to start messing around with the format of the video a little bit. I'm probably going to do a little bit of webcam stuff, not loads, but I know Amy appears quite often in the video, so I figured I should probably get my mug on video as well. So I'm probably going to do it, but mostly for like the longer form videos, because I think it's a bit more interesting than just constant gameplay. But we'll try it out. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about Ryzen. So, when it comes to overclocking, Ryzen has a couple of tricks up its sleeve. The first of which is the overclocking tool that we've discussed previously, known as Ryzen Master. But also, the X370 Titanium motherboard has a gain boost knob. There are 11 different settings for easy overclocking. We can expect 4.4 GHz from Ryzen on air. Now obviously it's quite early to test this up, and they're essentially they're stages. So basically the further you turn the knob, the faster it goes. Stage 0 to 1 has quite a differential, it's 3.6 to 4.1, and then after that you're increasing it by 0.5 GHz, so it's 4.2 to 4.25 for example. Do remember there have been multiple reports at this point that Ryzen is competing fairly well at higher clock speeds, especially the 1800X, and even the 1700 does manage to go past the 4 GHz stage. So essentially you're looking at a nice processor, even though it does have that 65 watts TDP. Another thing that's popped up, this comes courtesy of videocards.com, some of the very first retail Ryzen units have started to appear on the Sysoft website, and with that we start getting scores, which is quite nice. There's only a couple of results thus far, and these include the Asus Crosshair 6 Hero, the Gigabyte X370, and another Crosshair 6 Hero. That appears to be a pretty popular motherboard, so we'll see how its little brother, the one that I'm reviewing, is going to compete in. Now, there are a couple of other small things that I want to point out. From what I can understand, a lot of the overclocking results are from essentially review sample kits. So there might be some cherry-picked silicon going on here. So I would not go into this expecting your 1700X or what have you to overclock to like 4.4 GHz or 4.6 GHz as a guarantee. So basically, let's wait until we've got a larger sample size. And the second thing is, once again, there's not exactly a great number of benchmarks. So although we are definitely seeing a competitive architecture from AMD, I wouldn't be surprised if in some instances, at the very least, the 6900K, for example, will beat Ryzen. I'm not saying it will, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Speaking of Intel, this one is kind of an interesting little return to the past. So back in 2009 there was a number that Intel did not like very much. It was about 1.4 billion. That was for anti-competitive practices. A couple of websites, people have actually been messaging me this, so a couple of websites have started to report that Intel have been adding
that remains inside here is the Ryzen box itself. I'll go ahead and back up on that. And there it is. Can you believe it? Can you believe that package? Like, are you serious right now? Like, are you serious? So it looks like we got a wooden box with AMD Ryzen emblazoned on the top of it. Let's go ahead and unlatch the side and open it up and see what awaits us inside. Okay, we got a message here that says your Ryzen is here. It looks like the CPU is kind of slipped down there, the packaging for the AMD Ryzen 7 CPU. But it says in there, your Ryzen is here, powerful in purpose, efficient in design, AMD Ryzen 7. And this box is no joke. Like, this thing is seriously, like, heavy. Like, it's got some girth to it. And there's the box there with the Ryzen CPU, which I can confirm now, as you guys will see on here. So we get that on there. It's the 1800X. So it looks like we do have the 1800X CPU. Top SKU there from AMD, the $499 Ryzen 7 processor. It's got 8 cores, 16 threads. It's going to be boosting up to 4 gigahertz, and then with XFR, we're expecting to hit probably about 4.1. And obviously, we will do some manual overclocking as well with this. In our testing, we will be doing some manual overclocking as well as stock testing against the i7 6800K and the KB Lake 7700K. So some comparable parts on the Intel side of things. Go ahead and put that off to the side. Got a little note also in here from AMD. Just a little Ryzen card basically. For our RAM, we've got 16 gigabytes of DDR4 Corsair Vengeance 3000 megahertz RAM kit. Go ahead and focus on that. So 16 gigabytes, dual channel kit. So should be more sufficient for games and, you know, just getting a test system up and running. Really just giving us the main components that we would need here. I've got a case, I've got a power supply, I've got an NVMe and an SSD I'm going to throw in there to put all my games on there. And then everything else we need here to test was included along with the review kit. And finally for the motherboard, not too something dissimilar from what I would want to use in a build. This is the AX370 Gaming 5 from Gigabyte. It's one of their AOR's motherboards. I was planning to do something coming up with the K7, so you know this is not some like a skimpy sort of like OEM motherboard. This is like a proper gaming motherboard, so shouldn't restrict our testing in any way. We should be able to get good overclocking potential out of a board like this. I'm just excited